This is such a perfect place.
Hey guys, it's Winona. Kush.
I'm Tara.
Tara wasn't there the last time. She's also a fine arts student. Do you want to say what you do, Tara?
No.
Anyway, today's video is about authorship, and we're going to make the relationship between authorship and art. So we'll start by first defining what authorship is. And authorship. So I'll just start by defining what authorship is. I'll give you a dictionary definition from the Oxford English Dictionary, and it says authorship is the state of fact of being the writer of a book, article or document, or the creator of a work of art. And I have another definition from a text called What is an Author by Michael Foucault, and it describes what an author is. It says an author is an ideological figure by which one marks the manner in which we fear proliferation of meaning. Proliferation of meaning just basically means how information is passed out and how it just grows, and authors are mostly responsible for that. So since it's about ideology, we're going to also speak about concepts. And Kush will give us what a concept is.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to explain a concept with, this is from a text called Traveling Concepts in Humanities by Mika Ball. And she says that a concept is something conceived in the mind. It is a notion or an idea. So basically, concepts are not fixed. So we're going to talk about how the concept of authorship has traveled from humanities. No.
Literary studies.
Okay. So in terms of authorship, the idea of authorship has traveled from.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Okay, so the idea of authorship has traveled from literature into art, in the sense that, like with what Winona first said, her first definition is about how authorship was initially seen as just a writer of a book or a text or something. But when we look at art as being a creator, that also makes artists authors in that sense.
Then we're also going to move on to then the relationship between art and authorship and the complications that arise from calling an artist an author and what sort of responsibilities they have as an author. Tara will speak about perception and the relationship between the audience, artist, and the work, and how that impacts authorship.
So that concept is called the death of the author, because when you look at an art piece, if I painted a blue square on a canvas, the way Winona looks at it will be different to the way Kushinga looks at it. But in actual fact, the way I have painted it is to represent an ocean, whereas they could have seen it as sadness or as loneliness. So the reason why it's called the death of the author is because you're not taking the author's thoughts into considerations and their intentions into consideration.
I guess it also brings us to the question of, does it matter if the author is there or not there? And Kush will speak about the intention behind the work and maybe try to validate that point.
Okay. So, before I start, this is purely my own idea. You don't have to go with what I say. But, Roland Barthes wrote a text called The Death of the Author. And in it, he explains how the meaning of a work is always attached to the man or woman who created it. So in that sense, the meaning of a work is never really it can't stand alone, is basically what people try to say. So for me, I personally don't agree with that. I think the author is not relevant. What's important is the intention behind the work. So the work is able to explain itself without being attached to a certain author or artist or whatever. So, yeah.
That's really interesting. I don't know, I think the author should be there, but I'll explain that further. I just want to speak about how works come into being, how we begin to create art. guess the idea of authorship is also taking ownership of something that I created this, therefore it's mine. But then we also need to think about where ideas come from, and usually people are influenced by things around them. So an idea is not entirely original. It's influenced by something. For a person to then create this, they needed to know what a cube looks like, first of all, and then they added, this looks like cake stuff. You see, like piping.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we know about cakes, we know about cubes, and they all come from different spaces, but then this person brought up and created an artwork. So can we really say that they own the work when everything that we know is influenced by something that's already existent? And this text by Jonathan Lethem called Ecstasy of Influence, a plagiarism, it tells us more about that everything in the world was informed by something else. So then it problematizes the idea of the author because nothing is original really. We're going to talk about the author's name and its importance to art and how it leads to commodification and capitalism and all that cool stuff.
Okay, so with regards to an author and with what Jonas said about ownership, when an author attaches himself to a work, that gives them ownership, right? So with regards to like capitalism, ownership allows someone to be like, this is my work, I want to sell it. But like, is that really the point of art? Because it then encourages this thing of, I'm going to make art because I need money, which kind of defeats the purpose of creating. So in that sense, it kind of encourages a sort of commodification of art instead of creating for the love of it.
Yeah, so an example of that would be productions from Andy Warhol, where instead of it just being one art piece to speak 1,000 words, to be cliche, it became more of a commodity, and you start thinking of your audience as consumers rather than an audience.
Yeah, just to be there to enjoy.
Yeah, it's more like, okay, I'm gonna buy this because everyone's doing it. And you start buying things because it's popular or whatever. And I think going back to Kush's point about the ownership of things, who says that you own it? How can you say it's your work if you've gotten the idea from someone else? When we were talking about it earlier, Kush mentioned something that I think she should share.
Okay, so in terms of like commodification of art and like ownership, if Picasso makes a work of art, then I make the exact same thing. Obviously his will be way more expensive and will get way more publicity than mine because of the name attached to it.
So, I think authors are really just put on a pedestal. Is that what it's called?
It's called the author god.
Yes, I mean like the actual thing is a
Yeah.
pedestal, right? Yes, that one. That then it's sort of like a power dynamic that authors usually are perceived to have so much knowledge, and the moment that you recognize that this is the author and whatever their work is,
It's like godlike.
yes, very godlike, and I think that's what we find problematic. And she goes to the extent of thinking, oh well, to hell with authors, and that's what the reading that you guys spoke about, the Roland Barthes reading Death of the Author speaks about, that what's the point of having an author? At the same time, on a personal level though, if I were to ever make it as an artist, I want you to know my name. It matters to me. Usually it's just for personal reasons that maybe I want people to engage with me on a personal level as opposed to just coming and looking at my work and taking what you want from it, which is fine. There's no problem with that. I just also want to share my story. I guess that's why I make art. That's why I make art in the first place. I don't know, but you said something, how you disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said that, okay, with my earlier point in terms of intention, that when there's an intention there, it doesn't really matter who made the work, in the sense that you can explain that, okay, this artwork came from this idea. So if people know that, they don't really need to know who you are. But also agree with Winona. Yes, I'm arguing that the author doesn't matter, but if I do make it as an artist, I would like to be known, but again, for personal reasons. So, yeah.
Karen? So while they were talking, I had this idea of how Kush was talking about the name of the author and how a piece will sell for more because of the name of the artist. And when you look at people like Marcel Duchamp and his fountain piece, which was basically just a urinal on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But if we were to recreate that, I guess you have to take into consideration that it's a rework of something famous. But if we were to take a random object like a pen and put it somewhere, people will look at that and be like, that's not art. And again, it's not taking, we don't even know what Marcel's, or Duchamp's intentions were for putting a urinal up. But we've created our own ideas of how it can be because he was feeling a certain way, when in actual fact he could have just felt like putting it there. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think the main point is just about the power relationship, about who has the power to speak and who doesn't. Then that then complicates the idea of the author. And we also believe that no one in this world really owns anything, and because all ideas are generated from some place, all ideas come from things that we've experienced, that we've seen. It's only how you then take it and make it your own, and that's how the surrealism movement started. Got this information from the reading by John Lytton that I mentioned before, Ecstasy of Influence. And he speaks about how surrealists just wanted to reimagine ordinary objects, or take a cup, look at it and make it into something completely different that's dreamlike. Yes, the person created the work, it's their work, but at the same time they started from a cup and someone else made a cup. So, it's very complicated. But I think that's really all to it. I don't know if I left anything out.
No.
But that's it. And we'll see you in our next video.
Bye!
So don't forget to check our Instagram page, and please like and comment.
The
tell
link
us what you
will be
think.
below for the Instagram page.
Yeah.
And if you have suggestions of things that you want to talk about, that you want to hear us talk about our baby things that have never been really addressed, just comment and we'll research on it and give you our thoughts on it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cheers.
Bye!